So what kind of company is Telenor? I think a lot of people here would relate that to a Norwegian incumbent telecom operator springing out of a monopoly. So Telenor, is that a kind of company that can be part of a global agenda for development? That was the kind of question I asked myself when Telenor some time back asked me if I would come and join them and join the team that has been put together to actually even further promote and engage with mobile financial services throughout the regions where Telenor works. And as you already understand, I'm not a Telenor pedigree. I'm not even an engineer. I'm actually a banker. I've been for 25 years. But for the past couple of years, I've joined Telenor. And Telenor being the second largest company on the Oslo Stock Exchange, and also being one of the strongest growth engines in the global telecom industry. How can that be combined with having a trustworthy role on the development agenda? Can you do both well and do good? That is really the question here. So before I go into, I'll talk a little bit about the infrastructure aspect of the total group, and then I'll be more detailed about the mobile financial services agenda. As we've talked about, that's also an important part of infrastructure. Let me just briefly talk about the Telenor Group. In 13 countries, actually starting to have some sort of mobile financial services in most countries. The Scandinavian market, the Central Eastern European market with Hungary, Serbia, Montenegro, Bulgaria, and then the large Asian market. 176 million customers, and most of them in Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and very soon Myanmar. Just to give you a little perspective of the way Telenor is positioned in these markets, we are not a Norwegian company traveling out to Asia. We are some of the leading companies in these markets. In Malaysia, Digi, which is the brand of our telecom operation, is listed, publicly listed, has a market value around 90 billion Norwegian kroner, which would put them high on the list of the top 10 companies on the Norwegian Stock Exchange. So it's a large company. It was named the Company of the Year last year in all industries. In Bangladesh, we are the #1 taxpayer. We're the largest company by far. So it's a very important role we play, and it's very important to understand and take seriously the agenda of building infrastructure and what that means to a country. And I really strongly also think that the pyramid and the role that the mobile phone has taken in developing these emerging economies is extreme, and is really what we see in everyday life. So what is driving Telenor on this? I think myself, coming from the outside, coming in there, I must say it's a different company from the inside. So when I tell you our vision is to empower societies, that is definitely also the driving force of what we're working on in Telenor. To actually connect people in the societies we work in, to give people a mobile phone and to give them connectivity so they can access information, they can access education, health, and financial services. We see what a tremendous difference that makes to societies, and that is what we're committed to. So that lies in the core of our growth, which is very impressive just in commercial terms, but it is actually driven totally from what we see and how we actually impact the societies we work with. So I think that when we have our strategy in Telenor, which is quite simple, it's really 3 pillars. It's about internet for all. And then you would say, hey, we just had a long, very interesting presentation on what's going on in Africa, the basic needs, and people want employment, and then we talk about internet. But the thing is that these things goes together. This is actually a revolution. So when we talk about internet for all, we say that, well, connectivity is one thing, but we really want to bring content and access to that enormous source that internet brings of information and education and access to developing your possibilities. We are looking to, I mean, our ambition is to have 2 million customers with access to internet in 3 years' time. Not only that, we're also looking at providing content for these people that will generate prosperity in these communities. Our second pillar is loved by customer. Well, that sounds nice. The point is that in a company that is measuring everything and is very driven by targets, the Net Promoter Score of customers is one of the key performance indicators for every employee. And why is this so important? I mean, I think most companies want satisfied customers. But I have to remind you that in Asia, most of the customers are prepaid customers and walk away any day. Not only that, most of the phones actually have a dual SIM card installation. So, you know, being loved by customers is key to actually maintain that impressive growth that Telenor has. In the last quarter, second quarter of 2014, Telenor grew by 4 million customers. We also grew the top line dramatically compared to our peers, both in Europe and Asia. So to be loved by customer is actually the core of having that and maintaining that growth. The last pillar is our operational excellence. As you probably know, not even being very into this industry, it's a very capital-intensive industry. On the operational excellence, we are not. We are on par with our peers, which is probably very good. So it's our growth that makes us stand out, also in the global arena. But I think that because the cost, the capex of this business is so high, we have to set upon us these growth rates. So these three things go together. So also when we talk about the internet for all and us providing infrastructure, we also look at how can we provide handsets. Most of the handsets today are in fact in Asia feature phones, where you will have very limited possibilities of using the connectivity that's provided going forward. So we are sourcing now smartphones for less than $50, and we are aiming for the whole industry to get down to $20 in a couple of years. So these are also things that work together. So all this is what we are putting together here. I'm not going into details. I mean, passionate employees is a whole separate speech, but we want to talk about these markets now. But this is it's also very important for how we are driving our company. And impacting society, both financial services and obviously telecom, highly regulated industries, and having that close connection and understanding the dynamics of a market and having a huge respect for each market's development and conditions and how we can work together on that is very important. So this leads me into the mobile financial service part. And the same strategic framework goes for mobile financial services. It's the same pillars that we work with. But I want to start out with one quote from Davos in 2014. Despite dramatic improvement in past decades, significant challenges remain in building a more inclusive formal financial system that can spur economic growth, reduce poverty levels, and generate significant social impact. Well, this is quite devastating. I mean, we want this to happen, and there's been talk about this for a long time. The fact is that there are 2.5 billion people that are unbanked. And coming from banking, being in banking for 25 years, I can say for sure that the banks will never be able to bank 2.5 billion people in the bottom of the pyramid of this world. So that will not happen. And therefore, one of my biggest tasks in impacting society is actually working with regulators and stakeholders to make them understand that a telecom operator is a fantastic intermediate to provide these services for the masses. And we are doing the Know Your Customer, KYC, and money laundering activity. We can do all that already because we are required to do so as a mobile operator. So therefore, we are also well positioned to do that. And that, in fact, for Telenor, has been what should I say, the guiding star for actually taking this opportunity that we want to do. And we see that it's very closely linked with our core business. And we also know that this is one report that I'm referring to. No, I'm not referring to that here. Strange. Maybe it comes here. Yeah. Financial inclusion also we see can have a very significant impact on economic growth. So just a little bit about what we're doing and why we think we are well positioned. As I said, we have 176 million customers. We have a financial relationship with all of them because they do pay money to use the phone, and we are clearing real time. We also have millions of point of sale. And this interesting thing is, this is also something, I mean, Heidi, you were mentioning if the bank doesn't work. I mean, first of all, there's no bank. Secondly, everyone here is used to having digital money. You don't get your salary in cash. You don't keep your money in cash. The money, they are digital. So that means you can also send them around everywhere. In Asia, it's the opposite. The money, they are not digital. So what we actually do when a customer pay airtime, we digitalize the money. So those money that are paid into an agent can be used exactly as the money we have in our modern economy or banking economy that we have. And that is a core asset that we are building our financial services on. I think that that's where we started, and I think that is something that is really not emphasized enough when we talk about how we can move this forward. Think about this person living 1,000 kilometers away from his family, getting the salary, and not being able to send that home. Have to rely on a truck driver or maybe travel 4 days to get back and forth to your job. When we've launched our services, you can walk into any convenience store around the corner. You can pay the amount, and in seconds they are with your family 1,000 kilometers away. It's quite a dramatic change in people's life, and that is what we are working on. Yeah, I think that's just to make sure that I can talk about all the things I wanted to share with you. A little bit more on our products. So we do person-to-person payments, which is a core business. We have 6 million customers every month using that service, or actually closer to 7 million now. We have all in all 9 million customers every month that use services from us. Can be payment services, it can be insurances, and we also do credit services like starting with a small credit based on your behavior for topping up your prepaid card. And we see now that we have built a scorecard, which is a core of financial inclusion. So think about this in these markets, these 2.5 billion people with no credit history, no access to a formal credit system. You can't really go anywhere if the catastrophe hits you. You can't go anywhere if you want have a small credit to drive your business idea. We are creating a credit history for customers. Right now we have about annually $2 billion of volume going through the banking system. So it's still small, but as I said, we're present in most of our markets, and we'll roll out in all countries by the end of next year. So I would say that being committed to this is not a given. It's quite extraordinary. We go to a certain length. I mean, we invest in banks to get access and be there. We enable banks if that is what it takes. And we invest in systems and capabilities, and we see that measures up. So the question, can we do good and can we do well? I think Telenor, being a highly successful company in the capital market, I think that is actually mostly driven from a very strong passion of empowering societies. So yes, I think we can do both well and do good, and we do that with our customers every day. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Tine. really enjoyed hearing that, and I know we talk a lot about the financial services, and I know a lot of our investments in financial services, they're moving into mobile banking as well, and you can see how the operators and the banks have to meet, as you said, coming from your side. And I also find that the mobile phones, it's very often, even talking with people coming from traditional aid, there's a lot of solutions and products and information services on that side using the mobile phone.
Well, absolutely. I could have. I only had 10 minutes in the program today. I could have talked for an hour, and then I could have got more into the specifics of what we're doing. But absolutely, I mean, there's no really limits to what you can do here, and I think that that there will be a change of dynamics in the financial services industry. And I think that is fine. I don't think it's not a threat to the banks, because actually what we're talking with state banks about, and also banks in general, is that when you take a country like Myanmar that we are going into now, and we are launching soon, there's 2% of the people that have a bank account, and it's a 98% cash-based society, and obviously offering mobile financial services, even though it's done by us, will actually affect in getting a lot of money into the banking system, because obviously the money will be in the bank. We will put them in the bank. So the formal banking system will maintain their role as a systemic, as the systemic role they have, and they will increase their importance in the society. And that is what we are really discussing with banks, and I think that also that's my strong agenda for getting acceptance for trusting a telecom operator to drive the retail part of the banking.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.